Thank you, Mr. President. As we heard my colleague from Missouri saying, we've got a great opportunity this week to confirm 4 outstanding individuals to the Federal Circuit Court. These nominees are well-qualified individuals who have demonstrated a strong understanding of the proper role that a judge plays in our constitutional system. I'm especially pleased that we are considering 3 exceptionally talented women for the federal bench. Federal Circuit Court nominations are extremely important. Circuit courts sit directly below the Supreme Court in our judicial system. And because the Supreme Court reviews relatively few or a smaller number of cases, many times the circuit courts have the last word in the majority of those cases. So it is essential that we have judges on the circuit court who will treat all litigants fairly. When I think about what do I want in a judge, I think fairness is the first thing that comes to mind. We want someone who treats litigants fairly, who show respect for our Constitution, our statutes, and the controlling precedents. So we need somebody knowledgeable in the law. That sort of goes without saying, but certainly is a top attribute of a judge. Every party before our federal courts has the right to expect even-handed and fair judges and fair justice from those judges that are handling their case. Each of the 4 nominees who will be confirmed this week, they each have a strong record and impeccable qualifications. They respect the rule of law, and all were given a high rating by the nonpartisan American Bar Association. Yesterday, I was very pleased to support Amy Barrett's confirmation to the Court of Appeals for the 7th Circuit. Despite obstruction from my colleagues on the other side, I am pleased that yesterday we confirmed Ms. Barrett. But still, I have deep concerns about some of the debate, some of the questions that were raised about her religious beliefs throughout the confirmation process. The Constitution clearly states that there can be no religious test for any federal office. The Senate has a responsibility to consider qualifications and fitness for office of individuals nominated by the President. But that does not include an evaluation of a nominee's religious beliefs. Our Constitution fundamentally protects religious liberty for all Americans. That principle is deeply rooted in our nation's history and allows individuals of all faiths the freedom to exercise their religious beliefs. Ms. Barrett's credentials clearly demonstrated that her ability to serve on the federal bench, which she will be doing, and I hope that future nominees are questioned by this body on their record, their qualifications, and their jurisprudence, not on their faith. Today, we confirmed the nomination of Michigan Supreme Court Justice Joan Larson for the 6th Circuit, a supremely qualified individual. A former clerk for Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, she served as a Deputy Assistant Attorney General and as a law professor at the University of Michigan before joining her state's highest court, the Supreme Court. Later in the week, we will consider Colorado Supreme Court Justice Allison Ide for the 10th Circuit. Justice Ide served as Colorado Solicitor General and is a law professor at the University of Colorado. She clerked for Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas and was appointed by Chief Justice John Roberts to serve as a member of the Advisory Committee on the Federal Appellate Rules. Finally, we will consider the nomination of Stefanos Bibas to the Third Circuit. Mr. Bibas is a law professor at the University of Pennsylvania and clerked for Justice Anthony Kennedy after earning degrees from Columbia, Oxford, and Yale. This is a supremely qualified slate of nominees, as their impressive credentials make clear, and the praise that my colleagues who are more familiar with these nominees have given to these nominees in earnest and honest discussion very much lends themselves for my support. Without question, their fitness for the federal bench is very evident. The fact that Democrats have been holding up these qualified individuals is totally misguided. We heard Senator Blunt talk about the numbers. There are currently 21 circuit court vacancies and 120 district court vacancies in the federal judiciary. While the Senate has an important role in examining nominees to fill these vacancies, Democrats have required virtually every potential judge to go through a time-consuming floor process that is simply not sustainable, even when there's no objections raised against the individuals. In fact, Democrats have used political tactics to delay virtually every one of President Trump's judicial nominees, controversial or not. Every senator has the right to vote against a judicial nominee if they believe that that person is unfit or unqualified. We all have that right. But engaging in a de facto filibuster against virtually every judicial nominee is an abuse of the rules, I believe, especially when the nominee has overwhelming bipartisan support. The American people expect the Senate to confirm well-qualified nominees. They also expect us to advance a legislative agenda that will improve our economy and our security. By filibustering against qualified nominees, Democrats are keeping the Senate from tackling our important legislative work. Starting with Justice Neil Gorsuch to the nominees being considered this week, President Trump has nominated mainstream judges who will serve our country for years in the judiciary. I commend the President and the members of the Judiciary Committee, and we just saw the chairman of the Judiciary Committee walk through the chamber. I commend him for his work, Senator Grassley, for their work in advancing these talented individuals. We should confirm these judges and act promptly to fill other judicial vacancies. Thank you, and I yield the floor.